In a near-future world, society had collapsed under the weight of environmental ruin, famine, and dwindling resources. London, once a thriving city, now stood as a shadow of its former self. Chaplain Peter visited his terminally ill wife, B, at the hospital to say his final goodbye before her scheduled euthanasia. A few days after her passing, Peter returned to his work with the church, distributing food to those in need. It was during one of these relief missions that he was approached by Vivian, the head of mission resources for a powerful corporation called USIC. Upon hearing the company's name, Peter tried to walk away, but Vivian stopped him. She claimed to have been sent by Morgan, USIC's co-owner and Peter's old friend. Vivian explained that Morgan wanted Peter to join the Oasis Project, a mission to establish the first permanent human colony on a distant, desert-like exoplanet. Peter was skeptical. Both he and B had opposed this project from the start. But Vivian insisted that things had changed since USIC received a mysterious transmission. She played a recorded message from Morgan himself. In it, Morgan admitted Peter had been right all along, that the Oasis Project wasn't merely about saving Earth. It was something far greater, and it required a spiritual guide at its core. Morgan believed Peter was that person. Still hesitant, Peter refused until Vivian offered a deal. USIC would make a generous donation to his struggling church to continue its humanitarian efforts. Torn between conviction and compassion, Peter finally agreed. Soon after, he was transported to the USIC facility in a private vehicle. But the convoy was ambushed by furious civilians protesting against corporations funding space projects while Earth starved. Peter survived the attack and was subjected to rigorous medical testing. The procedures were routine until the doctors played a recording of BEA's voice during a psychological test, something Peter had never shared with the company. The intrusion disturbed him deeply. When the time came to depart, Peter met the rest of the crew, including Cy, a botanist. Because of the immense journey ahead, the crew entered an induced coma to preserve muscle function during transit. As the ship launched into space, Peter drifted into sleep, his final thoughts filled with memories of BEA's death. The ship landed amid a violent sandstorm on the barren planet known as Oasis. Local workers quickly retrieved the new arrivals and escorted them to the base. On the way, Peter noticed 3 unmarked graves outside the main structure, a sight that unsettled him. At the base, the crew was greeted by Paul, a cheerful technician, and Sarah, the security officer, who seemed wary of Peter's presence. When she realized he was a chaplain sent by Morgan, she exchanged a tense glance with BG, another crew member, before rushing off to inform Vikram, the base commander. Inside, Vikram announced a temporary halt to drilling operations until Morgan's return, orders that frustrated the team, as their crops were dying for lack of water. Upon hearing about Peter's arrival, Vikram seemed unimpressed and instructed Sarah to investigate his background. Peter, meanwhile, learned that water was so scarce he couldn't even take a proper shower. Instead, Paul cleaned him with a blue antiseptic foam while BG explained the hardness of the planet's surface made drilling nearly impossible. Sarah secretly searched Peter's belongings to verify his identity. Later, Dr. Severin briefed the newcomers, injecting them with an oxygen adaptation serum and implanting trackers in their arms. She warned them about potential visual impairments and hallucinations caused by atmospheric pressure. That evening, during a grim dinner, Vikram welcomed everyone to what he optimistically called a colony of dreams. BG muttered under his breath that it felt more like a colony of nightmares. When Peter was invited to speak, his heartfelt words about courage, faith, and sacrifice quickly earned the respect of the crew. Afterward, BG showed Peter to his small quarters equipped with a communication terminal. Before leaving, BG offered him sleep medication, warning that insomnia could have dangerous consequences. When Peter asked about Morgan's whereabouts, BG only gestured toward the window and said, "He's out there somewhere." That night, Peter received an anonymous message quoting scripture, "What I tell you in the dark, speak in the light." At dawn, with the sandstorm cleared, Peter explored the terrain. He marveled at the planet's multiple moons and revisited the graves he had seen earlier. When he approached Alice, a technician, she explained the colony's machinery and the surveillance drones that followed them constantly. She also hinted they would never return to Earth. When Peter asked about Morgan, Alice avoided the question and wondered aloud why Peter had even been told about the project. BG soon interrupted, summoning Peter to Vikram's office. After he left, Alice told BG that the real reason a chaplain was sent was for funerals. On the way, Peter overheard two men rummaging through Morgan's quarters under Vikram's orders, looking for anything strange. The men muttered about Morgan going mad. Before they noticed him, Peter saw a familiar Bible verse scrawled on the wall, the same one from his mysterious message. In Vikram's office, Peter was questioned about why he came. Sensing deceit, he simply replied that Morgan wanted a man of faith on the base. When he pressed Vikram about Morgan's location, the commander admitted they hadn't heard from him in over a week. Meanwhile, Sarah went jogging among the dunes and was shocked to see a vision of her daughter, Frida, calling for her. Though she knew it was a hallucination, she followed and discovered Morgan's abandoned rover, half buried in sand, streaked with blood. Inside, she found his bag and immediately contacted Vikram. At the base, Peter tried to focus on his duties while being constantly shadowed by drones. In the media room, he cleaned and repurposed the space for worship. When Sarah returned, she presented Morgan's belongings, medical supplies, sketches, and religious postcards. She urged Vikram to send a search party, but he refused. Morgan had removed his tracker, and resources were scarce. Assuming Morgan was dead, Vikram ordered drilling to resume. Sarah protested, reminding him her job was to protect the crew, but Vikram silenced her by recalling how she lost her detective position back on Earth for disobeying orders. That night, Vikram spied on Peter through security cameras as Paul came seeking counsel. Paul confessed a dark past, how he once killed his own horse after it suffered from performance enhancers he had administered. Haunted by guilt, he admitted seeing the horse roaming Oasis, claiming it wasn't a hallucination but something real. He told Peter that everyone was seeing strange things before dying. When asked what Morgan thought of it, Paul simply told him to ask Sarah, the one who had investigated the deaths. Peter later searched Sarah's office and found Morgan's blood sample and the postcards. When Sarah caught him, they argued, and she revealed she knew about his criminal past. Peter calmly explained that B had changed his life and brought him to God. That night, BG was tormented by visions of his father and sought comfort from Dr. Severin. The next morning, Paul restarted the drill but was distracted by an apparition of his horse. Forgetting it wasn't real, he reached for it and was pulled into the machine. Severin fought to save him as he whispered about seeing the horse again, but the wounds were fatal. Peter prayed beside him as Paul died. Sarah, distraught, stormed out, while Alice took Peter aside and revealed a hidden recording Morgan had left for him. In it, Morgan spoke in awe of something he had discovered, something that repeated the words, Jesus Christ. He ended the message with the same biblical phrase Peter had received earlier, urging him to find the truth. Vikram later held a meeting to announce Paul's death as an accident, but the crew refused to believe it. BG insisted the planet was affecting their minds, and even Severin admitted that the hallucination warnings were lies ordered by Morgan after the first fatality. Chaos spread among the crew, forcing Vikram to impose a lockdown. Meanwhile, Peter, desperate for answers, used Alice's help to access Morgan's quarters. There, he found a hidden map marked with coordinates that appeared under ultraviolet light. Determined to uncover the truth, Peter stole a rover and left the base. Sarah caught up to him, but, weary from her own hallucinations of Frida, allowed him to go. As Peter drove across the desolate terrain, Vikram reported Morgan's disappearance to Earth and assumed full command under Article 76. Following the map's path, Peter reached a series of black stones leading to a cave. Inside, he made a discovery beyond comprehension, a group of people, alive and waiting, among them his wife, B. Thank you for watching. Turn on notification and also subscribe for more.